It's already been a busy news week. It's only Wednesday.
I know. When is it? When
It's
is it
never
gonna?
slow anymore, ever.
I know. When is it gonna slow down? I mean, now we have weed companies suing D9 companies.
And Total Wine, it looks like in DoorDash, right? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
and Shein.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, honestly, it was just a matter of time when the traditional medical marijuana companies were going to wake up and say, "Hey, why can't we sell at Total Wine?" You know,
Yeah.
and we have to go through the dispensary system, whereas these D9 guys can just go sell anywhere, and so kind of inevitable. I actually thought that Curaleaf would be the one that would pull the trigger on that because I know they've been a little bit vocal about D9 and such. And then you've got the state AGs writing a letter to congressional leaders saying, hey, close the hemp loophole. You know, like we said in the issue the last time, they wrote a letter was to take the caffeine out of Four Loko, and it was effective.
It worked. Yeah.
They listen to the state AGs sometimes. But does Congress really have the will to tackle this right now, given all the other stuff they've got going with the shutdown? And
I doubt it. And not with Rand Paul.
Yeah,
Rand Paul's gonna single-handedly keep hemp alive. So.
Yeah. I just don't think they have the will to tackle that right now. It's not something that the public really cares about. It's more of just state AGs rattling cages.
Yeah. This is a quote from that letter, which legal non-intoxicating hemp is used to make Frankenstein THC products that get adults high and harm and even kill children. So that's the rhetoric.
They always say that. I've never heard. You would think that would be on the news if children were dying. Yeah. I've never seen a case where that's happened.
Right. Agreed. But that continues to be the line. And I agree with you, Harry. I don't think, but who knows? I mean, and that is what we've been hearing out on the circuit is that, okay, be careful taking on these products, guys, because it could all go away at any given moment. Like we keep hearing, oh, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. But I don't know. I mean, it could happen. Is it likely? I don't necessarily think so at this point in time, but it could absolutely happen.
It could, because they do they need to pass a farm bill. So they could just add it as an amendment to the farm bill.
And then the other big piece of news, of course, this week was the Fedway deal in New Jersey to buy Ritchie and Page, AB wholesaler, several million cases. Fedway itself is 9 million cases, wine and spirits wholesaler. They say they're the single state alcohol wholesaler in the country, and just another wine and spirits wholesaler in the Northeast springing for an AB beer wholesaler to bring them into beer. Will AB approve? We will see.
Yeah, probably. It seems like AB loves wine and spirits wholesalers.
Right, it's turnkey for them. So
yeah, it's turnkey.
I don't know. We'll see.
But I don't know. I feel like they would have a good bead on it before they would announce it.
Yeah.
Whether it was going to be approved or not, but maybe not. Sometimes they announce it just to try and force the supplier's hand.
Yeah.
But yeah. So lots of changes, lots of stuff going on. And so just want to remind everybody that the tickets for the summit are available at beernet.com because we're going to talk about all of this in January at the Hotel del Coronado. Get a good rate. It's been newly refurbished and freshly painted and should be really nice. I've seen pictures. Looks really good.
And our lineup is really solid. We'll start to announce it, but it's really some of the best lineup we've had in years. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Exactly. And I actually wanted to talk to you. We should probably put the lineup on the website this week or next. How about this weather, Jen?
Oh my gosh, it's been blowing everything. It's just like blowing things
Finally,
over outside.
This is Brian. This is the first week we've had where it's not going to be 100,000 degrees outside. So we finally have a little bit of winter weather coming through with Texas. Winter is coming, as they say.
Come up to DC.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. We got a hill climb coming up in just about a little over a week.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to BeerNet Radio, the podcast where all your dreams come true. I'm sitting here with Jen Litz-Kirk, our director of content, and our guest today is the president of the Beer Institute, Brian Crawford. Welcome back to BeerNet Radio, Brian. It's good to see you.
God, it's been too long, Harry and Jen. It was great to see you guys out in Vegas. That was an enjoyable time, and I wish I had been able to spend more time with you guys there.
Likewise.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, welcome, Brian. You guys have your annual meeting next week, November 5th through 7th in Washington, D.C. And there's a lot to talk about there, from obviously you have a new chairman to the other hot button topic issues to also your new Best in Brew dinner. So just generally, what can people expect from the Beer Institute meeting next week?
Yeah, well, thank you guys. We're looking forward to having you. It's obviously interesting times right now in Washington, D.C. with the federal government shutdown, and we're getting lots of emails about concerns about travel and logistics. But Congress, the Senate's here and they are voting. And the House is here. They haven't been voting, but there's a lot of House members. You have access to the Hill offices. The administration, the regulatory agencies, it's more difficult there. A lot of the workers have been furloughed. And so I think our message to our members is you're going to have to be a little bit flexible. It is not business as usual. Some of the entrances to the Hill office buildings are a little bit shut down, but as it relates to our annual meeting, our Best in Brews dinner, our receptions, those are all moving forward full steam. So we're really excited to bring our members here to Washington, D.C. at a really critical time for the industry and for our government. And so, we're looking forward to it.
And can you handicap what's your best guess on the Senate reopening the government, say before November 3rd?
If I was betting, I would say it would be after November 3rd. And I would also bet that it will be after our annual meeting. There's a couple of key dates that are coming up. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about the SNAP program, and the beneficiaries are going to lose out on those benefits here shortly. You also have air traffic controllers who are now not being paid. Although there is talk right now that there could be votes in the Senate to pay air traffic controllers and our military sort of one-off. Both sides are dug in, Harry, and it's not a great situation where both Republicans and Democrats feel as though they are quote unquote winning this shutdown. It is terrible for the American public. It is really terrible for those employees that are affected. It impacts the beer industry, right? So TTB is shut down. We were scheduled to bring some folks over to see the team over at TTB. That meeting right now is postponed and likely to be canceled. And we're hearing anecdotally about folks that have labels and formulas, whether it's for seasonal brews coming up this winter or more so targeting stuff in the spring that's going to be delayed. Smaller brewers rely on the SBA 8A loan program for equity and for investments. That program is shut down. So it pales in comparison. The impact on beer pales in comparison to what we're dealing with as a country, but it's really, really unfortunate. My hope is that cooler heads prevail. The reality is that there is really one person here that can end this shutdown, and that's the president of the United States. He's currently in Asia. And so hopefully when he gets back, both sides will begin talking, but they are firmly dug in right now.
I mean, the SNAP benefits running out, they've been able to find some money for it through October at least, but that could, I know that we're sitting here talking about the beer industry. People are like, who cares? But in reality, it would really hurt the beer industry because it's just the less money you have for food, then beer becomes, something you're not going to buy.
Right.
And, and like Walmart gets like 25% of all SNAP benefits in the country, and losing the Walmart shopper for those weeks could be painful in a beer industry that's not doing great in the first place.
Yeah, that's a great point, Harry. I mean, we are an affordable luxury, beer is. But when you have to choose between feeding your family or, packing a lunch for your kid to go to school or buying that six pack, well, it's an easy decision.
Right. Well, what are some of the other talking points that you all will have on stage at the actual meeting? Obviously, as we're talking about the beer industry, as with larger bev alc, has been under pressure. That's been the theme of the fall and actually the whole year. So, but what else? What are you guys driving home this year?
Yeah, Jen. So we obviously had a number of elected officials lined up to speak to our group to talk about what's happening in Congress, how we break through this sort of partisan gridlock. Unfortunately, those folks are either not in town or unable to speak, and so we've had to pivot here, and we ourselves are being flexible. So we've added a couple speakers recently. One is a journalist named Brody Mullins, who is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, wrote for the Wall Street Journal for a long time. He's the author of a book called Wolves of K Street, and it talks about the changing dynamics of big money in politics. And he's a fascinating guy, and it's really going to be an interesting conversation around how over the previous decades, the power centers of politics used to be corporations and unions, and how that has shifted drastically to dark money,
Hmm.
individuals that can write $1 million, $10 million checks to really alter the trajectory of politics in Washington. So he'll give a little bit of behind the scenes as to what's happening, the dark money in politics. And then we're also going to have a father-son duo, David and Jonas Stillman. They're called Gen Guru, and they're going to be talking about Gen Z and
Mhm.
how beer has some really unique opportunities to own the Gen Z segment. We're all talking about how baby boomers are aging out of their core drinking years, and Gen Z is the focus for many of our brands. But Gen Z is struggling, right?
Yeah.
They're dealing with a tough economy. They're dealing with the highest uh, debt on record as it relates to student loans. And so, how do we as the beer industry tap into that segment and try to own it moving forward? And so they're going to have insights into that. Obviously, our economist Andrew is going to speak about what he's seeing. Bacard Nesson's going to join him on stage for a great panel. And then I'm going to give sort of the BI state of the industry and talk more about our policy objectives and a lot of the great work we've been doing as Team Beer, leading the industry, whether that's on dietary guidelines, intoxicating hemp, or around our latest pro beer beverage of moderation initiative called It's Me Beer, which we're really excited
Hmm.
about and we think could have some real legs in 2026.
So, what is that? I haven't heard of It's Me Beer yet.
So It's Me Beer is a pilot program that the BI launched, and we are currently in the field right now targeting only policymakers and influencers in DC. And it gives a persona to beer, and I'm happy to share this with you. If you go to the website is itsme.beer. You can go to the website today and view the videos. But it is a social media digital campaign targeting policymakers and influencers and talking about the uniqueness of beer, our investment in low and no products, the uniqueness of beer in terms of the ingredients we use, beer as the beverage of moderation, but it gives a persona to beer. And so it is a pilot. We're going to get the insights and the data from that pilot. We're going to present it to our voting board at this meeting next week, and then talk about how we develop and activate it further into 2026. So, this has been something that we've been working on for the better part of almost 2 years. It's taken longer than expected, but the timing actually is really beneficial for us in light of what's happening around the dietary guidelines, the release of that, and some of the headwinds that we've already talked about.
Right.
I this is a little bit off topic, but the speaker that you had last year was really good. I forget his name, but he talked about China and Taiwan.
Yeah, Dmitry Alperovich.
Yes, Dimitri. So I read the book that I got at that meeting, and it's really I think topical right now as the president is going to meet with Xi, and I presume that Taiwan's probably going to come up, but really that's Xi's legacy. He really wants to unify Taiwan, so very
Yeah,
topical.
thanks, Harry. I appreciate that. It's always interesting. It's a risk when you have a speaker that is talking about something that has nothing to do with beer. But my view of it is if we have global CEOs and CEOs of beverage companies, they need to know what's going on globally around geopolitics, and it goes beyond beer. And so I thought he did a fantastic job when he had the slide that turned Taiwan upside down,
Yes.
showed the critical importance and why China views it as such an imperative. It really opened my eyes to say, holy cow, like this all makes a lot more sense.
Right. We
Um,
always look at the globe as if North was preordained by the God. But if you turn it upside down and you see those chain of islands around China, then you understand the geopolitical reason why Taiwan is so important. So,
yeah.
anyway, off topic, but let's get back to beer.
Well,
Yeah.
and just at some point in future meetings, I hope to expand that sort of thought leadership program and really bringing in interesting speakers to talk about issues that are way outside the realm of what we normally do. But for this meeting in DC, sort of truncated schedule just based upon the government shutdown, it wouldn't fit this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how about, you're talking about beer CEOs and leadership. How about Rahul Goyal now becoming chairman, taking Gavin Hattersley's place? What can you say? Do you kind of know what he's going to say? What's the plan going forward there?
So, yeah, we will have a resolution to appoint Rahul as our new chairman. So, we're excited about bringing him on board. I've had the opportunity to speak to him a couple times. He's an incredibly thoughtful leader. I think he's going to bring some new blood, not only to the BI, but certainly to Molson Coors. He has a long track record within that company. But in terms of his leadership style at the BI, I think he is going to take a critical view of the things that we're working on, making sure that we're resourcing against our key goals and our KPIs, and hopefully provide some new thought leadership. So I'm really excited to begin working with him in a more fulsome way. He has his hands full, obviously, and with a new leader, you see
Right.
changes, and I think he's already making significant changes within the Molson Coors system. And so I am very aware of where I land in terms of the pecking order of importance. And so we will continue to keep our heads down and do our work. We have very clear objectives at BI. We do not, our guardrails are in place in terms of the work that we're doing. And so we're going to talk through all of those at our voting board meeting, but I'm really excited to get to know Rahul and work with him more closely.
Awesome. And then just a little bit ago, you mentioned the dietary guidelines. We had thought that those would be out by now, right?
Yeah,
At one
all
point,
of
we
us
thought,
did.
right,
It's
July, then
November.
August.
It's almost November. We're
So, yeah. So, do you think beer and Bevalg is out of the woods? And when do you think these are going to come down the pike?
So it's interesting. Just this week, you might have seen that RFK, the Secretary of HHS, said that they are now targeting December, and he pointed to the government shutdown as the reason
Right.
for the delay. Our understanding is that the dietary guidelines for 2025 to 2030 have been largely and substantially complete for some time, and that the section related to Bevalc has
Mhm.
been complete for some time. And so we do not believe that there's going to be any last minute changes. Certainly, we continue to see our friends in the anti-alcohol sector continuing to rattle their swords. The U.S. Alcohol Policy Alliance released their own version of the dietary guidelines. They were actually the first to report that that they did not like what was in the dietary guidelines, which for me was eye-opening, because I don't know how they got a copy of it, because we sure have not seen it.
Hmm.
And in fact, we have not been talking to HHS or USDA about them at all. And so um, we are waiting with bated breath. We continue to, when we go to the Hill and talk to people, the only thing we are saying is that we wanted to ensure that there was transparency, and that whatever comes out is based upon a preponderance of sound scientific evidence. That remains our hope. And we'd like to see them sooner rather than later. But our best guess is that, if the government were to reopen, let's just say for argument's sake, sometime in mid-November, which will then be the longest shutdown in recorded history, which is a sad state of affairs, that sometime in mid-December we would finally have them.
Our friends up in Canada are still fighting. They're still fighting over it. But yeah, I think hopefully it's settled south of the border. State AG sent a letter to congressional leaders advising them to close the loophole for the hemp D9 industry. Do you think that Congress has the political will, to tackle that in this session, or is they seem to be busy with other stuff?
Well, I mean, it depends on your perspective, Harry. I mean, some people would say they're not busy doing anything.
That's
Not really
true.
in the government.
Yeah, they're
So
not even
They're very
there.
busy doing nothing.
Yeah.
the so 39 bipartisan state attorneys general just wrote Congress and said, you guys messed up with this hemp loophole. It is affecting our population. It is affecting our youth. It is affecting law enforcement, and you need to do something about it. That is a powerful message. And so I hope that Congress heeds it. Whether or not they have the ability or a vehicle to do it remains to be seen. Now, keep in mind, there is language in the House Ag Appropriations Bill that would address the intoxicating hemp loophole. There was language in the Senate Ag Appropriations Bill that would also address the intoxicating hemp loophole, which was stripped out by Senator Rand Paul. But we knew that that was coming. There was an agreement. Senator Rand Paul could hold the bill up. He does not have the ability to hold up a CR, or what's called a Cromney, so a CR with a couple of appropriations bills attached to it. And so we remain hopeful that the Ag Appropriations Bill will be a vehicle that is used to either reopen the government or fund the government after the government is reopened. And that language will remain in there. Now, that language will probably change. I think that there is an intent within Congress to protect farmers and make sure that the CBD market, so the non-intoxicating portion of hemp, and the ability of farmers to grow hemp for industrial purposes remains. And that will isolate the companies and the industry that is developing intoxicating products that are targeting our youth, as evidenced by the image that Governor DeWine showed. I don't know if you guys saw this, but he had a bag of Nerd gummy clusters in one hand and intoxicating hemp products that looked exactly the same. And I don't understand whoever owns Nerd gummy clusters, why they have not sued for patent and trademark infringement. But nevertheless, those are the bad actors that need to be addressed in this legislation. And so this will be the first step in a long process. I believe that you need to address the hemp loophole, and then that will spur conversations around, well, what's next? How does this become regulated? What is the role of the FDA? What is the role of the DEA? What is the role of, name your acronym agency, TTB? How do we create a robust regulatory framework that protects our youth, that protects consumers, and allows for fair and level competition, which does not exist right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the candy thing is just patently ridiculous, and
Yeah.
there should be separate the beverage part of it because beverage could be regulated just like alcohol because we already have the systems in place to do it. But you're right. It'll be interesting to see what Senator Paul does there from Kentucky, who is a big hemp state.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, he's working it. I mean, big hemp state's relative. Let's keep it all in perspective here. The USDA says that there's about 56,000 acres of hemp grown in the United States. That
that's
is
not a lot.
that is an infinitesimal number compared to the commodities that go into beer. When you think about barley, hops, corn, rice, wheat. So the notion that there are this huge number of hemp farmers that are going to be adversely affected by this, and oh, by the way, you can if it works out, you'll still be able to grow it for industrial purposes
Yeah.
and for CBD, right?
Right.
So really you're isolating these people that want to have their cake and eat it too, right? They want to sell an intoxicating product, whether it's a drink, an edible, smokable, whatever the case may be, without any regulations. And that's what they're doing right now. And that's why you're seeing state AGs and governors take action because Congress is falling down on the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Brian, I have to ask you. So Jordan was at NACS walking the floor, and of course he saw a lot of these products, but he also saw a lot of, I don't know, is it kratom,
Mm.
and I know that some wholesalers are picking that up. Is that on y'all's radar at all as a flare point that you need to address, or not at this point?
Not at this point,
Okay.
Jen. I could see there being a time where that would be the next issue that Congress
Hmm.
needs to address. But we have enough on our plate right now.
Right, right, sure.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Going back to It's Me Beer. So this was unilateral, right? You guys aren't doing this with NBWA or the BA or anything like that, right? It's a completely BI hatched program.
It is. It's a BI hatched program. Again, it's a test case. It's a pilot. We are in the field right now. We're going to get the data and insights back. Right now, the numbers that we're seeing are hugely impactful. We're getting great lift, great response. And then the question is, how do we grow it? How
Yeah.
do we activate it more fully in 2026? Um, this is going to be, I hope, part of BI's mission in 2026, which is to own the space that beer is the beverage of moderation, that we own the low and no space, and that we can be part of the consumer's plan to either reduce
Mm-hmm.
alcohol consumption, or partner with them in trying to meet their personal goals. And so beer has a really unique story to tell, and I think we need to do more of it.
Right, right. And of course, all these non-alc beverages, Page Six just came out with a report yesterday that Randy Gerber and George Clooney are coming out
Yeah.
with a non-alc beer. And you've got these small beers, and then, 4% beer. I mean, that's barely even beer, right? So
Oh,
to your point,
I drink that for breakfast every day.
right, exactly. It was
German.
water 300 years ago in the colony. So it absolutely is different to your point. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that. Hopefully there's a little bit of humor to it as well. Like, it's me, beer, right? Or no, I'll
Well,
have to check it out.
you're gonna have to go to the website and let me
Okay.
know what you think. We're
Okay.
gonna show a number of the ads. Of course, you guys would not have been served them. So the only
Okay.
people that
Okay.
are seeing
Understood.
these ads right now are folks that are in the administration, members of Congress, and key influencers in Washington, D.C., because we are focused on targeting policymakers and really differentiating beer from, you name it, from intoxicating hemp or from our friends in the liquor industry. Um, but there is an opportunity in 2026 to grow this. Could we start targeting members of Congress back at home in their states? Do we target state legislatures? Do we target governors? Do we target those that are dealing with intoxicating hemp? Because beer, we can differentiate beer from the intoxicating hemp drinks.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of ways to activate this. We're going to have an announcement at the annual meeting for something that we're going to do in January, which is going to hopefully incite and unite the industry. And so we're excited about that. I can't tell you what it is, but just know that we're looking forward to it.
Very cool. And so do you think the elbows are going to get a little bit sharper within the bev alc industry next year now that you know, kiss off dietary guidelines, check, achieve that. Now beer is going to fight a little bit more to differentiate within, right? Or would that be a fair characterization?
No, so it's interesting. The entire BevAlc community has done a great job of working together and working across our differences and across party lines to educate lawmakers around the dietary guidelines. I will say that the suppliers, so BI, Wine Institute, Discus, we are all working closely together in addressing the issue of intoxicating hemp. Now, we know that the wine and spirits wholesalers are way out in front on promoting intoxicating beverages. NBWA, I think, just based upon their meeting, they're struggling with the issue, but we'll continue to work together. But we have very clear policy differences when it comes to our products and how they are regulated at both the federal and the state level, because they are fundamentally different and they have been viewed as being different since Prohibition. And so we acknowledge those differences. We will continue to work on those policy initiatives that we each have, but there are opportunities for us to work together. I think globally, I think what's another interesting point is that globally, BevAlc across the sectors, so wine, spirits, and beer, work together through IARD, the International Association for Responsible Drinking. And so there are models that work where when there is alignment, we can work together, and when there are disagreements, we'll go our separate ways. And I don't see any issue with that.
Well, that's all I had. Jen, I thought you always liked to have the last question.
Well, I did.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was about to say, I thought you were going to come back with something about the rum cover over. I was waiting for that.
No. You know what? I've calmed down on the rum cover over for now, but it'll bubble back up at some point.
It boggles my mind how Congress could justify extending that program.
Listen, I've been on a high horse on that for a long time, but my voice just goes out into the ether and nobody listens to old hair anymore.
I listen, Harry. I think you're right on point on it. It is that situation with rum cover over is the definition of why, well, A, how the sausage is made, B, backroom dealings, and C, just really, really bad policy that benefits
two companies.
Yeah. To
Bacardi and Diageo, if you want to know. Just for those who don't know, the rum cover is a way to is supposed to be to compensate our U.S. territories, the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, and so they give the taxes for rum back to the government. But the problem is the territories just take that money and give it back to the companies to keep their distilleries there. And so it's kind of a boondoggle, but it is what it is.
It's not kind of a boondoggle. It's taxpayers subsidizing two large multinational corporations.
Right, exactly. Well, great. Well, everybody, look forward to seeing everybody in Washington next week. Go to beerinstitute.org to check that out. And, while you're on the web, just go ahead and go to beernet.com and check out our conference coming up in January. So, well, thank you, Brian, for being on BeerNet Radio, and we'll see you in a little over a week.
Yeah, it's always my pleasure. And as long as we're giving out URLs, make sure you go and visit itsme.beer. It's a cool site. And Jen, I think you're going to like the content and more to come.
I hope there are shirts to order.
Why wouldn't I like the content? Am I too old? Is it not geared to old men?
No,
but I'm going to check it out just after this. So,
Harry, you're going to love it too.
Okay, good. All right, kids. Well, take
care.
All right,
guys. Thank you guys so much. Cheers.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Take care.